Hi, this is Carrie Denver with the Huntington Stormwater Utility. Today I want to explain to you how you can be part of the solution to pollution. Huntington Stormwater Utility operates and maintains the flood wall and levee system that protects the city. We manage storm drains and catch basins and help prevent flooding. I'm here today with Scott Kelly, the superintendent of the waste treatment plant. He works for the sanitary department and I work for the stormwater utility, and our powers combined form the water quality board. How much water does the waste treatment plant get a day?
On average, we treat around 12 to 13 million gallons a day. That's during dry weather, and whenever it rains, all the water that comes through the catch basins and into the city, and it comes here, hydraulically, this plant will hold 60 million gallons in it. So as the water enters the plant, the first part is bar screens. And here is where the large trash and rocks and sticks and things like that collect here. Then the water comes back into the first part of the plant, and that is the aerated grit machines. That is where the rock and cinders and road grime from the streets get dropped out there, and we pull that to the landfill. Everybody talks about wipes, sanitary wipes and things like that people use. They don't degrade, so they all come here. That makes it here, in essence, catches a lot of that. So as the water comes through the bar screens, as we've seen in there, the water is still pressurized and from the pump stations. When it comes into here, we start slowing it down with air. We use countercurrent air to slow down the water to about 1 foot per second. And we do that to start dropping out your cinders, road cinders, large chunks and rocks, things like that. And then that gets swept back in and we send that to the landfill. After our bar screens and grit removal, it comes into our primary clarifiers. Here is all you have here is settling. So you have the sludge sinks to the bottom and the greases float to the top. This is the part that feeds our secondary, which is where our activated sludge is. With this effluent, you roughly have, textbook is about 75% removal between what comes into the plant and what is leaving here. Up until 1986, this was a primary plant, and this is the only treatment we had. It went to this, and then the chlorination into the river. And then that's in 86 is when we put our secondary online. After the water leaves the primary part of the plant, it comes into our secondary part of the plant. This is where our organisms do the final polishing of the water. We end up removing here about up to from 75% to 95% removal of what comes into the plant here. So this over here is the final clarifier. The same thing as the primaries. The water comes from over here, it comes over here and just settles. What comes over the back weirs comes around, and that's what we chlorinate with chlorine and then send out to the river.
So this is the final product before the chlorination?
Yes, this is the final part before chlorination. So this is our effluent, and once it's chlorinated in here, it sits in here for a certain amount of time for disinfection. And then in this flume here, we add sodium bisulfite to remove any excess chlorine out before it goes to the river.
Okay, so when it goes to the river, it's clean, and then where does it go next?
So basically it goes out into the river. We have a diffuser in the river that allows it to dissolve into the river quicker.
Yeah. And
then it goes downstream to Ashland, is our next city.
So Ashland gets cleaner water because of the waste treatment plant?
Yes. So we gather all the sludge from our secondary and our primary portion. We bring that inside the plant, and we run that across belt filter presses. That squeezes some of the water out, and we put that into trucks, and that gets hauled to the landfill.
When the water comes from the waste treatment plant, there are organisms in it that are filtered out and things you don't want to survive. But there are also really good organisms that help with purifying the water.
When we do what we call a bug count, we classify everything into amoeba, flagellates, free-swimming ciliates, crawling ciliates, and stalk ciliates. This would be a stalk ciliate. It has a stalk that is anchored to a flock, which is what the secondary sludge is called. They're all ciliates, they're all invertebrates. They're all naturally occurring in any standing water, swamps, cemetery urns, things like that. They'll all form in that. What we do is we have a lot of it in our secondary. So for us, A typical count would be, when you do the calculation, it would come up to 2,000 to 3,000 of these organisms per milliliter. So what we have is very concentrated. So instead of like what a river or stream would do, it's not as concentrated as that. So you want a lot of these stalk ciliates and a crawling ciliate like Aspidisca and some paramecium. And that's what we would kind of age for. And we waste that, which means we send some of that to our presses and goes to the landfill, and some of this waste is sent there. And that's how we control the secondary portion of the plant.
Thank you for giving us the tour today, Scott. I just really appreciate it.
Anytime, anybody's always welcome.
85% of the water that flows through Huntington comes to the waste treatment plant. This water is a combined system. It means that the stormwater and the sewage flow together. You can be part of the solution to pollution by keeping trash, pet waste, grass clippings, and fats and oils out of the sanitary sewer.